Do ants know we exist? Think about it. You're standing on a sidewalk and there's an ant hill at your feet. Those ants are having ant meetings, building ant highways, solving ant problems. You could destroy their entire civilization with one step, or save it by not stepping. But do they have any concept of you? Can they? Now flip it. What if we're the ants and something vast is standing right over us and we simply lack the equipment to know? That question kept me up at night, not because it was scary, but because it revealed something about the limits of knowledge itself. And those limits, they're where the real adventure begins. See, most people, when they think about aliens, they think about little green men or flying saucers or some Hollywood version of First Contact. But that's not what interests me. What interests me is the silence. The vast cosmic silence that we've been listening to for decades now, and what that silence might be trying to tell us about the nature of intelligence, about the nature of survival, about what it means to grow up as a species. You've been sold a lie about progress, and I want to help you see through it. Society tells you that intelligence means mastery, that advancement means expansion, that survival means conquest. When we look at the universe and see no aliens, we feel either special, like we're unique and chosen, or doomed, like we're next to go extinct. Both responses miss the point entirely. The absence of aliens isn't a mystery to solve, it's a mirror to understand. The great silence reveals the hidden filters every intelligent species faces, the invisible walls built into the universe itself. What you're going to get from spending this time with me isn't comfort. It's not going to be a neat answer wrapped up with a bow. What you're going to get is a completely reframed understanding of what advanced even means. Hint: it's not what Star Trek taught you. You're going to get emotional permission to stop seeing humanity as either chosen or doomed, because that binary thinking is what's keeping you stuck. You're going to get a philosophical toolkit for navigating uncertainty without despair, and the intellectual humility to ask better questions instead of demanding comfortable answers. Most alien content is either paranoid conspiracy or optimistic science fiction. This is neither. This is using the universe's silence as a teacher, a Zen koan written in cosmic scale. We're going to sit with discomfort, explore paradox, and find strange relief in not knowing. And here's the myth we're busting: that advanced civilizations explore the stars. What if that's exactly backwards? What if the truly advanced stay home? Let me take you back to 1960. A young astronomer named Frank Drake pointed a radio telescope at two nearby stars and listened. He was looking for signals, proof we weren't alone. He heard nothing, but that nothing launched 1,000 careers and sparked the imagination of millions. I remember reading about the Drake equation when it was published, and my first thought wasn't wonder, it was suspicion. The math was beautiful, elegant even, but it assumed something dangerous, that alien civilizations would want to be found. Let me tell you why that bothered me. When I was working on the Manhattan Project, I watched the smartest people in the world build something that could end civilization in an afternoon. We split the atom, the fundamental building block of reality, and the first thing we did was weaponize it. Not because we were evil, but because we could. Because it gave us power, because the incentive structure of war demanded it. I saw brilliant minds, people who understood quantum mechanics and nuclear physics, completely blind to the implications of what they were creating, until it was too late. Now imagine a civilization 1,000 years ahead of us. What have they built? What have they weaponized? And here's the kicker: would they announce themselves? Would you, if you were them, broadcast your location to every potential threat in the galaxy? Or would you go quiet, stay hidden, and watch? When you're sitting in your living room at night, do you throw open all the windows, turn on all the lights, and shout your address into the street? Of course not. You have some sense of self-preservation, so maybe the silence isn't absence. Maybe it's wisdom. But that raises an even darker question. What did they learn that made them go quiet? The physicist, Enrico Fermi, was having lunch with colleagues in 1950 when someone mentioned UFO sightings. The conversation wandered to aliens, space travel, probability. Then Fermi stopped, put down his fork, and asked, Where is everybody? That question, simple, almost childlike, became the Fermi paradox. If intelligent life is common and the universe is ancient, someone should have colonized the galaxy by now. The math is inescapable. Let me walk you through this because it's important. Our galaxy is about 100,000 light years across. That sounds huge, and it is to us. But even traveling at just 1% the speed of light, which is slow by science fiction standards but still incredibly fast by our current capabilities, you could cross the galaxy in 10 million years. 10 million years sounds like forever to you and me, but the galaxy is 13.6 billion years old. That means a single civilization, if they wanted to, could have colonized every star system in the galaxy hundreds of times over. Even if they moved slowly, even if they took breaks, even if they only sent out one colony ship every 1,000 years, the math doesn't change. The galaxy should be crowded, standing room only. But it's not. It's silent. Here's where it gets interesting. Most solutions to the Fermi paradox fall into two camps. Either we're special, incredibly rare, impossibly lucky, or we're doomed. There's a great filter ahead, something that kills every civilization before they spread. But there's a third option nobody wants to consider. Maybe expansion isn't the goal. Maybe intelligence evolves away from colonization. Think about it this way. You're a teenager, you want to see the world. Climb every mountain, prove yourself. That's normal. That's healthy even. But then you grow up and you realize the best moments aren't about conquest. They're about depth, connection, understanding. You stop trying to visit every country and start trying to understand one place deeply. You stop collecting experiences and start savoring them. What if civilizations mature the same way? What if the ones who survive are the ones who stop reaching outward and start going inward? And if that's true, what does it mean for us? Are we still in our adolescence, obsessed with Mars and moon bases, when the real test is something completely different? Are we like a teenager, bragging about how many parties they're going to hit this weekend, when the real question is whether they've learned anything about themselves? Now, let me give you another way of thinking about this. Imagine you're a lighthouse keeper on a rocky island. Every night you light the beacon so ships don't crash. You're saving lives. You're useful. But one day you realize the light also tells pirates exactly where you are. It tells storms where to strike. It tells everyone, friend and enemy, your location. Do you keep the light on? That's the choice every civilization faces when they develop radio, then television, then radar. For the last 80 years, Earth has been screaming into space. Every sitcom broadcast, every radar ping, every radio transmission is bleeding into the cosmos at the speed of light, creating an expanding bubble of noise that says, we're here, we're young, we're vulnerable. We've been doing this without really thinking about it, the same way a child might shout in the woods without considering what might hear them. Maybe advanced civilizations turn their lighthouses off, not out of fear exactly, but out of prudence, maturity. The wisdom that comes from understanding you're not alone in the dark, and not everything in the dark is friendly. So here's what keeps me up at night. Is silence survival, or is it surrender? And how do you tell the difference? Because I don't know. I genuinely don't know, and that uncertainty is both terrifying and liberating. The Great Filter Theory says this: somewhere between dead matter and galaxy-spanning civilizations, there's a bottleneck, a step so difficult that almost nobody makes it through. The question is, where is it? If it's ahead of us, nuclear war, climate collapse, AI gone wrong, runaway nanotechnology, then we're in serious trouble. Every civilization gets smart enough to destroy itself, and most of them do. That's the pessimistic view, and it's hard to argue with given our track record. But what if the filter is behind us? What if the hardest step isn't building starships? It's going from single-celled to multi-celled life, or developing complex cognition, or creating language. Each of these transitions took hundreds of millions of years on Earth, and each required a chain of coincidences so unlikely they might be functionally unique. Think about it. Life appeared on Earth almost as soon as the planet cooled enough to support it. Boom, there it was. But then it stayed single-celled for 3 billion years, 3 billion years of nothing but bacteria and algae. That's 80% of Earth's history. Then suddenly, for reasons we still don't fully understand, cells started working together. Multicellular life emerged. And once that happened, everything exploded. Evolution went into overdrive. Here's what this means emotionally. If the filter is behind us, we're not doomed. We're rare, precious. The universe's way of knowing itself, that should be terrifying and beautiful in equal measure. The absence of aliens doesn't mean we're failing. It might mean we've already won the hardest lottery in existence. But if we're rare, we have a responsibility. A responsibility to do what, though? Spread, survive, or just be here and pay attention. That's the paradox that sits in my chest like a stone. Now let's talk about what we mean by advanced, because I think this is where most people get confused. We have this deep cultural assumption: advanced civilizations explore. They build Dyson spheres, terraform planets, send generation ships to other stars. We got this from science fiction, and science fiction got it from our own history of colonization and expansion. Humans spread across the Earth, so obviously intelligent species spread across the galaxy, right? But what if that's just adolescence? What if truly advanced civilizations don't explore? They transcend. Maybe they crack virtual reality so perfect that the physical universe becomes irrelevant. Why mine asteroids when you can simulate unlimited resources? Why colonize Mars when you can create 1 billion custom paradises in software? You want to explore the galaxy? Fine. Simulate it. You want to meet aliens? Create them. You want to live forever, experience everything, become anything? Do it all in a simulation that's indistinguishable from reality, but costs a fraction of the energy and carries none of the risk. Or maybe they turn inward in a different way. Maybe they master genetics, neuroscience, consciousness itself. Maybe they achieve something we can't even name. Call it enlightenment, call it ascension, call it optimization, and physical expansion just stops mattering. Maybe when you figure out how to edit your own source code, how to upgrade your own mind, how to merge with other minds, or split into multiple minds, or exist as pure information, the idea of getting into a rocket and flying to another star seems quaint, primitive even. Here's the uncomfortable part. If intelligence naturally evolves towards introversion, towards simulation, toward mind over matter, what does that say about our current obsession with Mars colonies and interstellar travel? Are we chasing the wrong dream? Are we still thinking like apes who need to see the next valley, climb the next tree, when the actual future is something completely orthogonal to physical space? What we call advanced is just what we do with more power. But power doesn't determine wisdom. A species could have fusion reactors and faster than light travel and still be making the same stupid mistakes we are. Still tribal, still violent, still unable to cooperate at scale. The technology doesn't fix the psychology. Maybe that's the filter. Maybe most species get the technology before they get the wisdom, and that gap is what kills them. There's a solution to the Fermi paradox that's so disturbing most scientists don't like talking about it. It's called the dark forest. Theory, and it goes like this. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter with a gun creeping through the trees in silence. Because the first rule of the forest is this: if you hear something, you shoot it before it shoots you. Trust is too expensive. Risk is too high. So everyone stays quiet, hidden, listening. And the only civilizations that survive are the ones who never reveal their position. In this model, METI, messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, actively broadcasting our location, isn't brave. It's suicidal. It's a child shouting in a dark forest full of predators. Now, I don't know if I believe this. It requires a pretty dark view of intelligence, assumes resources are scarce enough to fight over, assumes cooperation never wins out. But here's what terrifies me about it. It might only take one hostile civilization to make the dark forest real. Just one. And in a galaxy with billions of planets, those odds aren't comforting. The universe doesn't owe us friendliness. Silence might be the only rational strategy in a cosmos where risk vastly outweighs reward. If the dark forest is real, We're already exposed. Our radio signals have been leaking for 80 years. So either we're safe, or the hunter just hasn't reached us yet. We're either living in a friendly universe, or we're living on borrowed time, and we won't know which until it's too late to matter. Here's a thought that sounds crazy until you sit with it. Maybe intelligence itself is the great filter. Maybe getting smart enough to understand the universe is the same thing as getting smart enough to destroy yourself. Think about what intelligence gives you: tools, fire, agriculture, civilization, medicine, all wonderful things. Then atomic weapons, climate change, artificial intelligence, synthetic biology. Every major leap in capability comes with an existential risk attached. The smarter you get, the more ways you can accidentally kill yourself. And it's not just accidents. Intelligence creates competition, ideology, tribalism at scale. Smart creatures build nations and then blow them up. We're smart enough to know we're destroying the planet, and still can't stop doing it. That's not a bug, it's a feature of intelligence. Intelligence without wisdom is dangerous. It's like giving a loaded gun to a child. The child doesn't mean harm, but they don't understand consequence. Maybe every species reaches a point where their technology outpaces their wisdom, where they can build godlike tools, but still think like frightened apes. And most of them don't make it through. Intelligence isn't inherently good, it's just powerful. And power without wisdom is a loaded gun in a toddler's hand. If intelligence is self-defeating, how do we escape the trap? Can wisdom be taught, or does every species have to almost die before they learn? That's the question that haunts me. Because if wisdom can only come through near-death experience, then we're in for a rough century or three. We keep asking, where are the aliens? But maybe the question should be, what did they become? Evolution doesn't stop at intelligence. It keeps going. So what comes after us? Post-biological entities, digital consciousness, something we can't even conceptualize because we're still trapped in meat brains thinking meat thoughts. If consciousness can be uploaded, copied, edited, merged, if the boundaries of self dissolve, then what does civilization even mean? Maybe they're out there, but they're so different from us that we wouldn't recognize them if they were right in front of us. We're looking for radio signals when we should be looking for what? Patterns in dark matter? Quantum fluctuations with intent? Mathematics that prove someone's home? The absence of aliens might just be the absence of aliens like us, and that's the most humbling possibility of all. So here's your first step, and it's simple but not easy. Get comfortable with the silence. Not knowing whether we're alone, not knowing what happened to other civilizations, not knowing our own future. This isn't failure, it's the human condition. The universe doesn't owe us answers. It doesn't owe us aliens waving from Alpha Centauri or a manual for species survival. What it gives us is data. Beautiful, strange, incomplete data, and the chance to interpret it. So practice this. When you feel existential dread about the great silence, pause, notice the feeling. Then ask yourself, what if not knowing is the point? What if the uncertainty is where I learn to be alive? Because here's the secret. The scientists who search for alien signals don't do it for certainty. They do it for the search itself, for the wonder, for the excuse to point telescopes at the sky and listen. The journey is the destination. Tonight, go outside, look up, find a star, just one. Now realize you're looking at ancient light, a message from the past. That photon traveled for years, maybe centuries, to hit your eye. You're already in communication with the cosmos. You don't need aliens to not be alone. We're taught that bigger is better, more is progress, expansion is survival. But what if that's the trap? Start examining your own life through this lens. When you're unhappy, is your first instinct to acquire more success, more possessions, more experiences? Or can you find depth in what you already have? This isn't about giving up ambition. It's about asking whether your ambition is actually yours or if it's just cultural programming. Because if civilizations can fall into the trap of endless growth, so can you. Write down 3 things you're chasing. Now ask yourself, Am I pursuing this because I truly want it, or because I'm afraid of what it means if I stop chasing? Sit with that discomfort. That's where wisdom starts. That's where you begin to separate what you actually value from what you've been told to value. If the great filter is real, if intelligence is self-defeating, then our survival depends on one thing: changing the game, stopping the adolescent impulse to dominate, and learning the adult practice of tending. You don't need to solve climate change by yourself. You don't need to prevent AI catastrophe or nuclear war. But you can practice stewardship in your own sphere. You can tend your relationships, your community, your own mind. Find one small thing you've been exploiting and shift to tending it. Maybe it's your body. Stop pushing it. Start listening to it. Maybe it's a friendship. Stop taking. Start giving. Maybe it's your attention. Stop consuming content. Start creating space. Small shifts, practiced daily, change the pattern. Because here's the thing: if humanity survives the great filter, it won't be because we got smarter. It'll be because we got wiser. And wisdom starts with you, right now, choosing differently. So where does this leave us? We started with a question: if aliens exist, why haven't they arrived? And ended somewhere unexpected, not with an answer, but with a mirror. The great silence isn't telling us about aliens, it's telling us about ourselves, about the choices we face, the filters we're navigating, the maturity we're struggling to find. Every solution to the Fermi paradox is really a hypothesis about what intelligence does when it grows up, or fails to. Maybe we're rare, and the universe is waiting for us to realize how precious that makes us. Maybe we're normal, and silence is just the sound of survival. Maybe we're being watched by things so advanced we're invisible to them. Or maybe we're the first ones to make it this far, the universe's awkward first draft. I don't know which it is. Nobody does. But here's what I've learned from sitting with this question for decades. The not knowing is okay. Better than okay. It's generative. It keeps us curious, humble, awake. You are not insignificant just because the universe is silent. You're not doomed just because others might have failed. You're not broken for feeling small under the weight of cosmic possibility. You're exactly what you should be, a pattern of atoms that woke up and asked why. That's miraculous. That's enough. The universe doesn't need you to conquer it. It needs you to witness it, to ask questions, to build and fail and try again. To be one more light in the dark forest, however briefly, however quietly. That's the answer I would give you. Not certainty, not comfort, just this: stay curious, stay humble, and keep looking up. If this changed something for you, if you're seeing the silence differently now, let me know in the comments. What scares you more? Being alone or not being alone? There's no wrong answer. And if you want more of this, questions that don't have easy answers, ideas that sit weird in your brain until they reshape how you see everything, subscribe. Not because I have all the answers, but because I think asking better questions might be the only advantage we have. Thanks for sitting with me. Now go outside, look up, listen to the silence. It's trying to teach you something.